Hello, hello. Welcome to Big Me Kickoff. It doesn't appear that I'm on my usual microphone right now, so the audio's a little off. I'm sorry. I'm trying some new settings here on the show, so bear with me. Hey, Yakov22, I see that you are already on the line with me. Punch your message in. It is the Big Me Kickoff. I am your host, Kevin Noon, and we're going to go live here for, I don't know, an hour or so, just to kind of hang out and talk some things, talk some Ohio State football, talk some Big Ten football, hell, whatever you guys want to talk about, within reason. Don't get me in trouble here. But, we'll have one of these shows. You guys will dictate kind of what we talk about, and we will go from there. Hey, Gary, glad to see you as part of the show. Jordan Kepler jumping in. Hey, Jordan, how are you doing? I don't want to get in and have to sit there and say hello to everybody. So a blanket hello to everybody who's on the line now. A blanket hello to everybody who's about to get on the line. Great to have you. Now, normally with Big Me Kickoff, I don't do a live show. Hey, Gary, and hey, Sue. Normally I have guests, and my guest, who I will protect their name just to protect the innocent, had something come up, fell through, and instead of not doing a show, I decided, well, we'll just do a live one. We always seem to have a good conversation over on the rest of the shows at Buckeye Scoop during the broadcast. I don't always punch all of the comments through in the chat, just mostly because I don't want to distract from what's going on, us talking about food or whatever, maybe not relevant to what's going on in a Ryan Day press conference or Haskell Garrett or whatever. So this was more of an opportunity for us to just kind of have a conversation and talk about some things. Mecca Hanna, go Bucks. Let's continue to get better and handle our business. Gary jumps in again. Some great Ohio State fans on here already. Yeah, I've already seen in the chat a lot of the usual suspects. And I say that with love, much love. Usual suspects as in, people that I see commenting all the time, the people that I'll see commenting in the pregame show on Saturday and the postgame show on Saturday. We head to Bloomington tomorrow, kind of in the morning. The food segments are fun, though, and that's just what I was getting into. Why are we heading to Bloomington in the morning? We're heading to Bloomington so we can make our 5 o'clock reservations at Little Zagreb. And Little Zagreb is a fantastic steakhouse. Indiana, in general, has some pretty good steaks. Now, Nebraska, in a couple weeks, kind of laughs at Indiana, I think, in terms of, well, we're getting the stuff fresh right from our backyard. But St. Elmo, a lot of places in Indianapolis, fantastic. But this Little Zagreb is fantastic. It's a great steak. Was turned on to it by some friends who write for an Indiana site, and they said, you don't want to miss out on this. I was like, okay, whatever, sure. It's Bloomington. How exciting can that be? Well, I go, and it's in advance of a basketball game. The basketball crew is there in terms of TV, like the announcers. They have a big table. Everybody's there. I mean, you can tell that a lot of the rich donors who are in town are there. I'm like, okay, this place has got some promise. Had the steak, fantastic. Really good steak. Now, is it Jeff Ruby? I don't know. Let me have this second steak there. We're going to be doing scoop eats. We're going to watch Tony Gerdeman probably put ketchup on it, probably order it. Well done. I'm going to just bring a hockey puck and put it on the table and say this is probably the same thing and see where we go from there. And I'm sure that our bosses will be happy that, if he doesn't order a steak and he just eats a hockey puck, I mean, we save a couple bucks there. Jordan let me jump back to that, has a good cast iron queso recipe. Yeah, hit me up with that. I do mine in my smoker. Gary laughing, it's Bloomington. I like Bloomington. It's a fine city. Nice little vibrant scene. I've not really gone out. I turned 50 in a couple weeks. I turned 50 the day of the Nebraska game. I don't need to be hanging out at the college bars. I just don't. I don't need to be that creepy old guy that when I was 21 or 18, because you could get into bars at 18 back when I was a student, at least 18 and up bars, and some old guy would come in. It's like, oh my God, what's that all about? What's that all about? Why is he there? So I don't want to be that guy. So we'll find some places, have a couple pops. I know we're planning on doing some sort of live show on Friday night. So for those of you who are in on Friday night, be ready to join us. I think it'll be somewhere between dinner and before going out for real drinks. So keep in touch. We'll let you know. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell, and I guess it's on this side. Hit the bell underneath. That way you don't miss any of our broadcasts. And we do a lot of them, and I really enjoy that. I mean, I'm the director of multimedia, so you guys watching that is my job security. So keep watching all the shows, please. Let me kind of look what's going on. A home game in Bloomington. Yeah, Ohio State always travels well to Indiana. Plain and simple. I mean, we don't have to really even go back to when Ohio State clinched the Rose Bowl and pulled down their goalposts. I mean, that's, not really ancient history. I remember it, but I'm old. But Ohio State always travels well there. 52-49, that nut cruncher. I mean, Ohio State traveled well there. Has traveled well to all of them. So I expect to see a lot of Ohio State fans at this one. I think that Indiana being 2-4 struggling, I think that they may dump some tickets. I think that we might see some Ohio State fans just say, well, we're gonna roll and go and see what we can get. And I think we're gonna see even more. For those of you traveling from Columbus, State Route 37 is a mess. And I just suggest leaving extra time to be able to go out there and get there. There are some workarounds, but around Martinsville, it is a mess. So be prepared. Use Google Maps, use Waze, use whatever program. Don't try and get there at the last second. But who goes to a football game at the last second? Who wants to show up 10 minutes to go? You want to have a couple pops? You want to have a couple laughs? That's, make a day of it. Make a day of it. Let's keep going through here. Buzzsaw with a real question for me. Do I see more playing time for Palaie Naote? I like to pronounce his name properly. I think you're going to have to see some more playing time for him just because, remember, they have 6 healthy scholarship linebackers. 6. One of them's Reed Carrico, who's coming on. We talked to Al Washington. Al said he's coming on. He's not there yet. So, we can sit there and go through their scholarship linebackers right now with Cody Simon and Tommy Eichenberg. You have Steele Chambers. I mean, you Taraja Mitchell. That's 4 of them right there. Then you have EA, because that's what everybody calls them, EA and Reed. That's 6. So he's going to have to pick up some more time coming out of the open week, maybe some more time to work on the system, to work on just getting himself right. Because remember, he didn't find out that he was going to be able to go until we were technically in the season. So you can't really burn, I don't know if I want to say burn, but you can't use a lot of snaps on him during the offseason because they could have been snaps that you're just not giving to somebody else. So I think now with the rotation being smaller, just because the room is smaller, he's seeing more time. I think we'll see more of him. Gary, I'm with Tony. First time ever. For what? For eating a hockey puck? For ketchup? I need more on this one. And I'm scrolling down, so Gary may have answered. We'll get to it. Gary likes Indiana. Big Ten college towns are great. They really are. They really are. Columbus is kind of the outlier in terms of being the enormous city. And people say, well, Northwestern, that's Chicago. No, Northwestern's Evanston. And Evanston is not Chicago. It's not downtown Chicago. You got to take the Purple Line all the way up into Evanston, North Shore. It's different. And people say, well, Columbus, Ohio State's in campus area. It is. There's some differences. It's not the same as being in other parts of downtown, but go to Champaign, go to Bloomington, go to State College. Very different. I put, Madison is not the size of Columbus, but Wisconsin has a little bit more of a downtown feel, the way that Ohio State does. East Lansing. I've not really spent a lot of time in East Lansing, so I can't say much there. Ann Arbor, there's a good deli there. There's a Mexican restaurant that's by a mall. I've eaten there about 6 times, but I don't spend a lot of time in Ann Arbor. I'll stay out in the burbs. Minneapolis obviously is a big city. Iowa City, I've had some fun there. I'm certainly Rutgers. Piscataway was just there. College Park. I stay in Silver Spring when I go to Maryland. I don't stay in College Park. I've stayed there once. It's okay. I mean, I went to the college bars. I was that creepy old guy a couple years ago. It was a good time, but whatever. Saw the 86. That's why I have to wear my glasses. I can't see anymore. Carter had a couple great plays and a touchdown catch. 86. I was 15, well 14 because I'm sure it happened before my birthday. Still living in Southern California. Still probably not really a huge college football fan at that point. We're going to skip the one where I'm being called a sexy beast because I already know that, obviously. Sue, assuming CJ Shoulder is still doing well, yeah, I mean, I would assume so. We haven't heard anything. We didn't, they would have cleared us out of practice to get ready for interviews if CJ were anything less than fine. So you got that. And somebody else telling me I'm incredibly sexy. Thank you. Ed, Steele needs to start and play more. What is your ideal? And I know I got a lot of questions to go through. We're not queuing them up. I'm just going down the list and we're going to talk about it. And if I have time to fill, I'll go through some of the stuff I prepared. But I'm totally fine just having a conversation with y'all because that's what this is about. And I love our loyal fans. I love the people who followed me from my own show on my own channel to this channel, and I still plan on starting my show back up to a certain extent, but just been too busy. But we'll get there. So if it's Steele and who, how do you see the rotation going at that point? Because again, as we stated, they have 6. They're really playing 5. I think by the end of the year we could see Reed playing a little bit. Certainly once we get to the point where he's in that 4-game window. But remember, they only have 6. So God forbid if they have to tighten up that rotation more. He's got to get ready. But Steele and who? How do you see that one going? Do you think it was smart to have 4 freshman quarterbacks committed? I'm not sure what you mean on that one, just turned. So hit me back on that one. Maybe try and dial me in a little bit more. I'm not exactly following you. Buzzsaw, I think EA and Chambers would be all over the field. Yeah, but don't. I know EA, and I know you have PG, but I'm gonna call him EA because that's his nickname. I really like having somebody like Taraja out there in terms of run support. I know EA's a thumper. I know that he's a bigger body. I mean, I'm assuming you're saying that he can kind of do some of the role of Taraja, but I'm not. Maybe I'm just more familiar with what I'm familiar with, and having Taraja out there, even though he, just like everybody else, had to wait their turn with the 4 linebackers they had over the past couple of years. I really like to see Taraja out there, but I really think I really think that Cody Simon is coming on. And, while we sit there and we talk about this small rotation, we all have the guys that were like, oh, they need to play, and they need to play, and they're not running really a 4-3. So they're only having 2 guys out at a time. So I don't know. I don't know where they are at their best at linebacker, where that situation is. I'll guarantee you what helps when the D-line gets home. When the D-line gets home, it makes anybody out there. Heck, I could put Ed and Buzzsaw out there at linebacker, and the line's getting home, and they're going to look pretty good. They're going to be at least second team All Big Ten. So I think so much of it is predicated on the line play. It sounds like Tyreek Smith, from Ryan Day's radio show, it sounds like Tyreek Smith is coming along and that he should be back. He's had a good week of practice. That's another body. But with that being said, they need to make sure that they don't downgrade the time that Jack Sawyer, they don't downgrade the time that JT Tuimoloau are getting, because those guys are starting to get home a little bit more. We're still seeing much more of the pressure coming from inside. Obviously, Tyleik Williams has been a revelation for them. I think he'll continue to see more time. But if the edge can start doing more, that will free things up for the interior line, or vice versa. Or if everybody's concentrated on the interior line, maybe that frees some things up for the edge. But these guys have to keep winning those one-on-one battles. And the good news is Indiana gives up a blank ton of sacks. Whether or not that was Michael Penix extending plays too long, whether or not that was breakdowns in pass protection, something else, a combination of all three, I don't know. I've watched the Michigan State game. I've watched a couple other games. Can't really put a finger on it, but I think Ohio State needs to get home a lot in this game. And that, it sounds like Jack Tuttle's probably going to be the starter. And then they have a true freshman that was going to redshirt, but they're going to not worry about redshirting him. He's going to be the change of pace. Unless he is really good at a back shoulder throw and Ty Freifogel goes nuts. But remember, last year, while they still weren't really a great running team, they're not a great running team this year, they had 2 great weapons at receiver. Well, 3 if you put in Peyton Hendershot, the tight end. So I just don't know if it's a case of with the one and the tight end because, obviously they fulfill some different roles. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the type of matchups that they're looking for. I see a pretty big route here. Let's keep moving through. Mecca Hanna, I hope we get to see Mayan Williams this game. Well, with the whispers that Marcus Crowley may be shut down, it certainly moves everybody up a notch. I hope we get to see more Trevion Anderson, honestly. 8, 10 carries, is that enough? It's a long season. He didn't play high school ball last year. So, and not playing high school ball last year, I mean, he's that much further removed from going through the physical stresses that we see in a season. So, I don't ever want to use the term like, oh, I'm upset. I'm a writer. I mean, I go into this neutral, that's fine. But, I know a lot of people are upset. Oh, we got to see more Trey Henderson. Well, I think now we need to see more Trey Henderson at this point. The schedule gets tougher. There isn't it's just Akron, it's just Maryland, it's just Rutgers. After this week, say it all with me. It's just Indiana. But once we get to Penn State, I mean, it's go time. So, we'll see. Finally, back to Gary. Yeah, hockey puck steak with ketchup and well done. Gross. Gary, we'll go out for Italian or something because I'm not going to a steak dinner with you. Where goes one? OH, there you go. Sue lives 35 minutes from Ann Arbor. Sadly, it's downwind, so I don't know what to tell you there. We go there monthly, so do you go to Zingerman's? Zingerman's pretty good, but like Katzinger's here in Columbus, it's a little pricey. Even Blocks can be a little bit pricey for what it is, but I have my smoker. I love doing things. I've not done my own pastrami yet. I'd like to, but in a lot of ways, I just prefer to pay for it and not have to screw around making it. So I know that I'm in for a really expensive day when I want pastrami. Little pro tip for those of you who go to Indianapolis, whether it be for a Big Ten championship game or something along those lines, right by Lucas Oil Stadium, there is a deli called Shapiro's. Very expensive as well. Really good food. Really good sandwiches. So I highly recommend it. But don't think you're going to do it on a budget. Unless you've got what's the guy? The Tesla dude. The nut. Elon Musk. Unless you have an Elon Musk budget. Because it's not inexpensive. My wife and I went there once. Oh, I think we spent $50. I think we each had a sandwich. We each had a potato salad, a dessert, a piece, and a soda. It was something like $50. I walked out of it. I was like, we should have just gone to St. Elmo. But live and learn. Gary, the 86 football team was salty. I will punch this one through hearing aid guy when you're not sitting there calling me a sexy beast. I get all embarrassed there. Hello to Sage, Ohio. Now, Sage wanted to ask Sue a question. Let that go on in the chat. GDJ, does OSU have a chance on Zach Rice today? No. I mean, it would be one of the all-time great quiet jobs but this seems to be UVA UNC. It really does. I know all the things. I know his mom cried when he got the offer, how excited that everything was when they got him, or when he got that offer. But, things change along the way. And that doesn't mean that people take recruiting so seriously in terms of if a kid spurned your school, well, we didn't want him anyway. Oh, what's wrong with him? Things just change. You have to make a business decision. And, Ohio State gets a share of offensive linemen. It got Paris Johnson. It got Donovan Jackson. I mean, it's not like kids don't pick Ohio State, but but everybody is going to sit there and circle to the last second offer and quick commitment by the kid out of St. Clairsville and be like, well, what's wrong? The whole world's falling down. And we don't know what's going to happen with Ernest Green. We don't know what's going to happen with Cam Dewberry. Are these going to happen? I don't know. I mean, I like their chances at least going 1 for 2, but things change. The number of times I've heard stories of a kid who has committed to Ohio State and then decommits and everything else, it happens. We heard on the radio show today about the fact that Chris Olave silently decommitted from Ohio State after committing to them and was thinking about staying out west and either going to Utah or SC. And then Ohio State was able to secure his commitment. There's a lot that goes on. Some of the things we know and we just really are not in a position to talk about. Some of it we don't know. I mean, it's getting worse with social media in terms of the flow of information from kids sometimes because they can kind of control their own message and they don't answer the phone as much. It makes it a little bit more difficult. It makes it a little bit more sleuthing. That's what makes guys like Mark Givler and Alex Lightman and Bill Green and Mick Walker great because they are able to get out there and not only try to get the quotes, and sometimes the quotes aren't there, but do the forensic recruiting, figure out the pieces. And that's why I was thrilled a couple months ago to come over to this group and work with such a great group of recruiting guys. So shameless company plug. There you go. Let me keep going through. We're going to skip that one. We're going to... All right, just turned. We're back to this. I guess it would have been having 2 redshirt freshmen, quarterback and Stroud Miller, and 2 and Ewers and McCord. Welcome to the new world. That's where we live right now. That's what's going to happen. Older guys are going to probably hit the portal. You're going to probably have a lot of young guys. I think when things balance out a little bit more, we might see a case of where Ohio State has 3 guys that are 2 years or less in the program and then maybe a transfer that comes in. You know, think about like a Chris Chugginoff, somebody who may not necessarily be your frontline guy, but will be somebody that if you have to put him in a game, you'll be fine, or you can at least run your offense. I think that's where recruiting and quarterback management is going to have to live. Excuse me. I finished my Mountain Dew before the show, and now I have nothing to drink. I think that's where you're going to see things at. You're going to see a mixture where, Ohio State's going to have to monitor the portal. Everybody's going to have to monitor the portal. That's where we are until they fix the portal. And I don't know how you fix it. That's above my pay grade. But until you fix it, I don't know how else you're going to do that. So, I mean, if Ohio State loses somebody this year to the portal, which everybody seems to believe very well could be the case, I could see Ohio State going to the portal and bringing in maybe a stabilizing force just to keep the numbers in the room. You want to have 4 in the room. So if one guy, and I'm not going to really name names, but let's just play the game and say that Stroud continues through and he's just, we expect him to be the starter in 2022. And you were to lose somebody in the group, you're probably not getting somebody for the class of 2022. So you're sitting at 3. So you need to bring in somebody via the portal to be at 4. I mean, and I just don't know how you're ever at 5. I mean, and I know Ohio State has some talented walk-on guys with J.P. Andrade and with Jagger LaRoe. So, I mean, they have more bodies. It's not like there's just 4 guys sitting in the room with Corey Dennis and that's it. They have dudes, but you want to have 4 on scholarship. And I think that the portal is going to be kind of what the situation is. But when you lose guys, sometimes it does create this bubble at the bottom in terms of eligibility. And you have 4 guys that are all freshman eligibility. And I'm sure that's what you meant, just having 4 freshman eligibility guys. And that's where they're going to have to change. Kelly asking about the transfer. I don't like mentioning names. You can't unring a bell. And the second I speculate about a kid transferring, I hear from his dad, why are you putting that out there? I just don't do it. I don't feel comfortable doing it. It's not fair to the kids. Nobody's asking me to be unfair to the kids, but it's one of those lines I don't like to cross. So I didn't want to ignore your question, Kelly, but that's kind of why I don't answer that question. I don't know if Taraja has got a limited ceiling. He hasn't played a lot of football in a couple of years, so I don't know. But you want to see Cody Simon and Steel Chambers. I asked the question, you answered it, you fulfilled your part of the equation. I just don't know if I think that Taraja is limited. I've always had pretty high regard for him, but I thought that Curtis Grant coming out of high school, I thought he was going to be the next can't miss guy, and he really didn't get it turned on until the end of his career. And even with that, he was still platooning. So I didn't play linebacker. I was tiny when I started high school. My mom's like, you're going to get murdered if you play football. So I played tennis instead. Jordan thinks that Cody's been very impressive. I agree. I think with Cody, it's just a matter of putting it all together. It's starting to come together. I would Buzzsaw, knowing that he's probably a targeting victim right there. Yeah. So, don't cost your team a game. Don't cost your team a game by getting yourself tossed. We certainly need to fix that targeting rule. Oh, hello. I didn't mean to do that. Let me just turn that off. So I don't know what the hell I just did there. All right, we'll just do it with no branding. Just don't tell anybody. I'll fix it as we do this. So what are your thoughts as I'm filibustering and looking for this graphic right now? That's what happens when you have to produce your own show. What are your predictions for Indiana? That was one of the first questions for sure that I wanted to talk about to y'all. Was what are your predictions? I think that I think we all have some ideas of what this game may look like, but let's see. Let me try and drag that in. There we go. Well, that's not the color I was going to use, but that's fine. What do you expect? And I'm still getting through these questions. It looks like I've got about half a queue to go through. I'm not going to get into the jewelry questions with Sue, but Sue, if you want to put a plug in for your jewelry, go right ahead. Matt asking where we're going. We're going to Little Zagreb because I like Little Zagreb. And we've done a fat sandwich in Rutgers, and we did a hamburger in Minnesota. So let's go get a steak. Let's go get a steak, and as long as Tony doesn't ruin it, let's just do that. I'm thinking we're going to probably do a burger in Lincoln. I got a buddy who's a DJ out there who has listed a couple places for me. He's even offered to buy mine. So that's what we'll probably do in Lincoln, and then in Ann Arbor, I don't know what we're going to do yet. We haven't gotten that far, but Little Zagreb. But Buffalo's, I do love chicken wings, but Tony's going to get mad at me. He doesn't eat bone-in wings. He likes boneless wings. Nuggets. I mean, I can get him a box of Tyson dinosaur tenders, and he'd probably call them wings. Hi, Tony, if you're watching, by the way. But yeah, it's I don't want to have that debate with him about what constitutes a real wing. Thank God Tom brings some sanity to that argument. A wing is a wing, and it's not a boneless. That's a tender or a chunk or whatever. But Matt, I'll jot that note down at the end of this. Maybe we'll have some time to go there on Saturday for lunch. I just don't know what everything's going to look like. We're staying in downtown Bloomington, so that's good. The IU O-line's like a sieve. I like Tuttle, not enough time to throw. Here's the thing I noticed as I was doing Tail of the Tape, and I highly recommend for anybody who hasn't had a chance to read my Tail of the Tape feature, let's go ahead and give that one a look. The offensive line for Indiana, they got a lot of the same names that they had going into the season, but everybody's at a different position on this depth chart compared to week one. So I don't really know what's going on with that. I do really like their left tackle, who's now at right tackle. Name's escaping me off the top of my head because I prepared for some different things, but I think he's really good. He's almost DeJuan Jones sized. So, probably not quite DeJuan Jones, but still, I'm impressed with him. They've given up a ton of sacks. And as I mentioned earlier, is that because Penix has been trying to extend plays? Is that because they're just not good at pass pro? I've watched some games. I don't know if I have a great grasp on it. I'm interested in your guys' opinion. Let me know. Another question about scoop eats from Tyler. We're going to Little Zagreb. We will go and eat there on Friday. My goal is to have the piece up Saturday morning. I may cut it Friday night. I don't know, but I tend to think that we might get some more views if I put it up on game day. So that's the plan. Our DBs are better than last year. Absolutely. They're playing a lot better. And here's the thing I want to say about that. I really think the move of Shaun Wade was a mistake. And it's easy to look at that with the gift of hindsight. Oh, I can see all with history. I now know what the situation is. But I think he was much better as a slot corner. But remember, Ohio State lost Cam Brown in the Penn State game, so they were already up against it. Young guys had no time to really get ready. So, and I think the two were kind of dealing with still a little bit of a bubble of where maybe their secondary recruiting hadn't cashed in yet. Say what you will about your thoughts about Kerry Combs as the D coordinator. The man can recruit and drink coffee, but the man can recruit. And the man loves Ohio State. You can't take any of those. Those are three truths right there. He can recruit, he loves coffee, and he loves Ohio State. Probably loves Ohio State more than coffee, and that's hard to believe. He loves his grandkids too. So 4 truths. So 2020 was just a weird anomaly. It was just a weird anomaly. I don't know what to make of it. And then, of course, we get into 21, and they come out, and we were like, oh, God, here we go again. And they seem to be righting the ship. We'll see what happens. I don't think Indiana's going to be able to press the defense. We'll see if Sean Clifford is okay. Do you think Sean Clifford goes this week? I mean, I saw on the Buckeye Scoop Ask the Insiders board, I saw on social clips of Clifford going through practice. Is that just a ruse? Is he really going through it? Is it just a matter of giving Ohio State something to prepare for? I don't know if I'm all that jazzed about trotting him out there against Illinois. If you can't win with your backup quarterback in that situation, I don't know. I mean, they did take a huge loss losing P.J. Mustipher on defense. Not not the same as losing their linebacker from last year, but still a pretty big loss. So let's see. Jordan, over-under on 1.5 kick return touchdowns for Ibuka this year. Let's get to 1. I mean, I'm going to say under just because it's been a long, long time. And I think once he houses one, people are going to just be like, if you can reach the end zone, reach the end zone. Because if he starts returning them for 30, 35 yards a pop, may as well just kick it out of bounds and not worry about it. So I'm not ready. I guess I'm just chicken. I'm not going to say over. I'm going to say under. But I think they'll get to 1. This could be the week. I don't know. Buzzsaw, we were just there again. He was talking about jack somebody up bad. Yeah, I agree. I have a feeling I'd be a headhunter too. There's been no official release on Marcus Crowley, and Ryan Day and Ohio State's very hinky on injuries. There's some reports out there, though, that he sustained another injury and that it could be it for the year. I'm not reporting it. I don't necessarily have all the details. I know what I've heard, but I don't like to. This is not the forum for me to perpetuate rumors. We'll get a status release on Saturday. I'm expecting to see him listed as unavailable, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm more excited about, obviously I feel for the kid. He's really had a rough go in terms of staying healthy, but guys like Cameron Brown, Haskell Garrett, getting guys like that back who left the game against Maryland for one reason or another is important. Here's the problem with the way I'm kind of doing the show and producing it myself. We're so far behind in terms of where the questions stand. It's, taking 15 minutes to get there. And once again, you're watching the Big Me Kickoff live. I'm your host, Kevin Noon. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit the bell so you don't miss anything. If you like what we're doing, we got the super chat. I'm only going to ask once because I hate going through that process, but we have it. So there you go. But yeah, I want to see more Trevion too. Give me the 15, 16 carries. Give me the 15 to 16. As we get to November, get them up to 20. And then we're good. And then just ride 20 throughout. And hopefully that season is 15 games. Because if it's 15 games, that means they're playing in the championship game. Gary, if I were Day, I'd give Trey numerous touches. As I said, my big thought there is that you don't want to go from 0 to 100 with him, though. He did not play football last year due to the state of Virginia not having a fall season. It's a big jump up for these guys going from a prep schedule to a collegiate schedule. And I think they've done a really good job in limiting his touches in terms of keeping the tread on the tires for the season. Now, anytime you go out there and play football on any play, you never know. You never know, and we're not going to speak anything like that into existence. But I think that there is a fine line between underutilizing and not letting a kid go and get the lather and be able to play and maybe overusing him, but he's going to need to be a 20-plus carry back come December, January. Because once you get out of the Big Ten, any team that they're going to face potentially in the postseason, and I'll just leave it at calling it the postseason, I'm not ready to call my shot yet, is going to have a significantly better defense than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. So Ohio State's going to need to have 100%, or nobody's at 100%, but 85% Trey Henderson, 85% whoever is, his complementary piece, and just be multi-dimensional. Remember what happened to Ohio State against Alabama. Don't remember too much because it was pretty painful, but you lose Trey Sermon on the second play, Ohio State becomes largely one-dimensional, and we're off to the races. So there is a fine line between getting Trey Henderson his work and protecting the kid for the long haul. So I'll leave it at that. But if you guys talk about it more, I'll talk about it more. Sue talking about Zingerman's, my regular for cheese, olive oil, lunch. Let me know what your order is. I love pastrami. I hate sauerkraut. So let me know. For me, I just like a pastrami and Swiss with deli mustard. I just love, that's like one of my favorite sandwiches. But I don't know if I would call that like my death row meal. What's your death row meal? If you could have one last meal, and I'm not saying this to be morose, and I don't want any of you to die or anything like that, but what would be that last meal if you were in that type of situation? I don't know if mine would be a pastrami and Swiss sandwich, but if they told me that I could have lunch and then I could have a dinner, that might be my lunch. Love to see Henderson have a Dobbins game. Dobbins, his eyes lit up whenever they played Indiana. He had great numbers every time that he went against the Hoosiers, if I recall correctly. I've already started kind of breaking down numbers for Penn State, and I wish I would have done this for Indiana, so I don't have it in front of me, but I just seem to remember big numbers each time. Henderson, a freshman that misses senior season. Yes, Jordan agreeing with me. Thank you, Jordan. We're not in here for a debate. I'm not saying, I need Jordan to back me up on this. I think we all have our opinions, and they're all very valid. But Jordan's opinion seems to be in line with mine. That you have to bring on a young running back a certain way. It's so easy to say, get out there, run to the open space. And that doesn't always work. And we all know that at Ohio State, if you can't block, you can't play. And you got to go through special teams. So the fact that Henderson got out there as quickly as he did, I think just goes to show what a freak he is. Let me mark where we are at right now because I see somewhere in here a super chat. Thank you. I wanted to thank you for that. I don't know why our display box, there it is. isn't coming through. Let me move that up a little bit. I really messed up my screen somehow today. Any question you've got, be sure to jump in. I'm going to head back to where we were. I marked it because that's how I said I was going to do the show, and of course I have lost track. There we are. Hashtag stick to sports. Hashtag stick to sports. We're not going to talk about that. There's no making anybody happy. Getting back to the running back conversation, there is a ton of talent in the room. What are your thoughts on Evan Pryor? I still think he is a year away. He still has not. The Mick Marotti transformation is still a work in progress with him. And here's the thing. NPF couldn't put on weight for years. So I'm not saying that Evan Pryor needs to put on weight, but he needs to fill in a little bit more. And as somebody who came to college not filled in, and then of course I got my freshman 15 by eating Tommy's Pizza all the time. He still needs to rock up a little bit. So we're going to get there. Oh, let me mark where we are. We got another super chat coming in. I'm marking where we're at. Thank you, Mike. I want to thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for being part of the show. I want to thank you all. It means a lot. It means a lot to all of us here at Buckeye Scoop. So many great people. Who's got a thumbs down? Who gave me a thumbs down? What's up with that? What did I do? Hate that. But it is what it is. Yes, Mike, thank you for that. I'm scrolling up to where we were. We may be on for longer than an hour for me to catch up. What do I think about the commitment of Henry Avery? I've not really watched his tape, to be honest, Mecca. I'm going to watch it. I know that it's been a minute since Ohio State's gotten anybody out of St. Clairsville. I had somebody say to me, are you concerned that this is, like a Tyler Gerald situation? Tyler Gerald, he had a lot of stuff happening off the field in terms of, just life. Great kid, just didn't work out there. Let's remember, Reed Carrico came out of Ironton, which is not, isn't D1 or D2. It's taken him a minute, but I think, DeJuan Jones, at least at Rivals, where I used to work, I think he was a 3-star there. I don't think he was a 4-star. 3-star kids can work out. He's just going to have to work that much harder because he's not going against the type of competition that a Cam Dewberry, an Ernest Green, a Tegra Shabola, these guys are going against in high school. So I think it's just going to be a steeper learning curve. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So this is, every situation is incumbent upon the player that's in that situation. I have no reason to believe that Henry Avery can't take care of that. So, time will tell. Time will tell. I'm going to watch his tape, though. Maybe I'll do it in the car on the way to Bloomington tomorrow. Tony's driving, so I'll ride shotgun, which means I'll just have my iPad going. Whoops, I just marked that the wrong way. There we go. Is James Franklin leaving Penn State? He hasn't as of today. Would I be surprised if he ended up at USC? No. Would I be surprised if he ended up at LSU? Maybe a little bit more. I think the SC job fits him a little better. But I could certainly see him moving. What kind of dominoes does that start? Luke Fickell to Penn State, maybe? Ohio State fans would hate that. Would hate that. How much would you hate that? I've known Luke for a long time. I did a show in Florida today, a radio show. I've known Luke since he was a recruit. And that doesn't mean we're close or anything like that. I have his number. If I called him, he wouldn't answer. I guarantee you that. But I've known him. He's friendly with me. But Ohio State fans would lose their mind. Would you lose your mind if he ended up there? What about if he ended up at Michigan? There's zero chance he would end up at Michigan. But what would happen if a former Ohio State player, captain, assistant coach, 1-year interim coach, even though Ohio State's he was a real coach. No, he was the interim coach. How much would you lose your mind if that happened? Gary saying that the 1.5 kick returns is bold prediction segment fodder. I'm afraid to get too far involved in that because my old bones cannot end up on the cot of shame. Just cannot. I will not allow that to happen to me. But then again, I had back surgery in 2001, so I play that card I'm like, oh, I'm so old and tired. Please don't make me sleep on the rickety cot. Yes, Tim, hearing the same thing about SC. That seems to be my belief as well. Yakov enjoying the very good the show there. I'll let you kind of know my thoughts. My show that I want to do on my own channel, out of respect for where I'm at now, will not be an Ohio State show. It'll be kind of whatever. Anything but Ohio State. I want all of my Ohio State takes to be right here on this channel at Buckeye Scoop. Don't miss out on any of that. My other show, we'll get there. We'll see. Maybe I'll start it next week. I've always been a little hesitant about doing the solo show because I'm like, why would anybody want to listen to me talk for an hour? But as long as you guys are here to talk to me, it just flies by. Be great for the Big Ten if USC is dumb enough to sign James Franklin. Well, let me ask you this, Gary. If you believe that James Franklin is not getting it done, it's not going to get them elite, why would you want to run him off? Why would you want to send him? What happens if Penn State gets their next hire right? If you believe that James Franklin isn't the right guy, it was like people saying that they wanted to get rid of Rich Rod. Ohio State fans we want to get Rich Rod fired. Why? If you think Rich Rod's terrible, you want him there forever, or Brady Hoke, or Jim Harbaugh, or whoever. I mean, I'd want to get that guy a lifetime contract. So, that's just how I view it. I understand, I think I know people feel very competitive with Franklin in terms of recruiting on some kids, and maybe getting somebody who's a little bit of a less dynamic recruiter. But I have always felt that one of the big separation points between Ohio State and Penn State over these years has been game day coaching. And the one loss that Ohio State has had recently against Penn State, I blame Ohio State's game day coaching. Urban should have never ran the field goal unit out there as the clock was expiring and done a hurried kick. You had the timeouts. You can't take them to the locker room with you. Slow down, get set up, get your three, and get on with it. And they didn't. And I didn't even get to see it. I was in the elevator in that dumpy stadium coming down, and I thought the elevator was going to come down. I really did. That place is being held together by prayers and beer and pee. It was a horrible experience. And get down there, and it happens. But look at the double-digit losses that Michigan or that Penn State has had. They've given up double-digit leads in the fourth quarter to Ohio State. One of the best quarters of football I have ever seen was led by J.T. Barrett. That fourth quarter at Ohio Stadium, going toward the north end. That was some of the best footballing I've ever seen. So not all of that falls on James Franklin, but they certainly didn't play. I don't think they played their end very well. JT Barrett wasn't going to be stopped at that point, but Penn State did diddly on offense. So I don't know. GDJ enjoying the show. Thank you. Yes, Tom and Tony are also good. I know Tony isn't watching. He told me that he was going to come on and ask me a bunch of questions, but he had something to do. Tom may be lurking. Hi, Tom, if you are. Isaac asking, who is the biggest X factor this weekend? That's a good question. Honestly, I think the biggest X factor are the two Indiana corners that are hurt right now, whether or not they're going to play. Tywone Mullen and Reese, I think is the other guy's name. I think that if they play, it could make it a little closer. Tywone Mullen's a hell of a player. I really like Tywone Mullen. But if they're down two starting corners, this thing is over immediately. And that's not anything against the two younger guys that are going to have to trot out there. It's starters are starters for a reason. And if you're down your starters, by definition, you should be at least in a little bit of a disadvantage. And with C.J. Stroud and the way he's slinging it, and the Ohio State receivers, if they're down those two corners, that's bad. Another X factor, I think, is McFadden, the linebacker for Indiana. I think that if he's able to really get out there and have a disruptive game, that could get Ohio State out of sorts a little bit. Ohio State's very well aware of this guy. He's been playing for like 11,000 years. at Indiana, so they're not going to let that guy beat them, but they're aware of him. Okay. Just let you, my name is pronounced with a long E sound. Okay, so Mika? I took a phonetics class in college and forgot all of it, just like I took Latin in high school. I don't know, to look good for schools. So Mika Hannah, I just want to make sure I got that right. Nothing worse than getting somebody's name wrong. I was so disrespectful, so I apologize. Let me know if I got that right. All right, get to talk a little football here. Sue asking if there are any top 10 teams on upset alert. I've got the schedule right here. Well, I got the top 20. Well, no, that's everybody. Let me pull that to top 25. Cincy's going to roll Navy. Oklahoma is going to double roll Kansas. Michigan's going to roll Northwestern. Penn State's going to roll Illinois. Oklahoma State, Iowa State. I'm interested in that one. What's the line? Is Iowa State giving 7? Oklahoma State was down, and then Texas pulled a Texas, and Oklahoma State won. So I think Iowa State could pull that one out. It's in Ames. So far, that's my clubhouse leader. Oregon is a top 10 team. They're playing UCLA. I like that one too. That's not Tennessee is going to get frog stomped by Alabama. And that's it for the top 10. So my 2 to watch are Iowa State and Oklahoma State, and Oregon, UCLA. UCLA came in week 1 and just rolled LSU, and we're like, oh my God, Chip Kelly, they're back. And now we realize that LSU isn't really that good unless you talk to Florida, who lost. And then Oregon, Oregon just can't keep losing guys. I mean, Oregon's just having trouble, keeping guys healthy. So I don't know. Jordan thinks that an X factor is red zone defense. They've been terrible on offense in the red zone. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I don't even think I talked about that all that much in Tell the Tape. So good observation, Jordan. I like that. Jason asking if I'm going to Bloomington. Absolutely, I'm going to Bloomington. Plan on getting there. Have dinner reservations relatively early because it booked up fast at Little Zagreb. We will probably record 1 or 2 shows, probably do 1 live, 1 record between dinner and going out. I hope to be at Kilroy's by about 10 o'clock. And if anybody is there and wants to come up and say, hey, by all means. By all means. You know what I look like. Here I am. 6'3" and ugly. See, here's the issue, too. I don't know what's happening. I don't know where this inserted, so I don't know who we're saying has groupies. I have groupies. I wish. Make my wife jealous. That would be awesome. But no, I don't. I don't think I have groupies. I mean, I have my gang here who likes to watch the show. I mean, we're at 1:35 here on a Thursday afternoon. I love it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. This smile is not manufactured. I'm beyond thrilled to have so many people on here sharing their afternoon with me. So thank you. Mark Fetters, go Bucks, absolutely. But so you got to wonder how good a guy like Jagger LaRoe is. You're a walk-on, and their job is so invaluable to the team in terms of giving the team good looks, running scout team. Yeah, if you trot a walk-on quarterback out there, that's not ideal. Certainly not ideal. But in my situation, I'm not saying that you're going to be playing the walk-on quarterback, but you do need to sit there and have portal management, and that's why I think you need to make sure you always have 4 in the room. But no, I don't disagree, Buzzsaw. Heard rumors that Kevin Newton was transferring to LSU. My wife is from Louisiana. She's from the other side of the state, over near Lake Charles. She's one of those kids that hated the home state school. So she hates LSU. Hates it. Sort of like the kid that's like, I don't care. I'm from Ohio, but I hate Ohio State. So yeah, I guess I'd say my wife is kind of, obstinate like that. Don't tell her I said anything. Shh. But I think she would love if we moved to Louisiana. But I'm not going anywhere. Are you trying to get rid of me, Jordan? You going to placate me with super chats and then send me off? Come on, man. Come on. Jim asking if Mayan Williams will see the field this week. Maybe. Saturday we'll see the availability report. If he's healthy, if he's not unavailable, if he's not a game time decision, I expect to see him. If he is a game time decision but does dress, maybe not. I don't know, but if he's not on either list, I would expect to see him. So be sure to tune into that pregame show because generally that rolls around the time that we would get the availability report. Generally works out well like that. Tim saying we need all of our linebackers. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jordan Kepler, 49-10 Buckeyes. Even though they won, I think OSU wants revenge. I don't disagree. My prediction will come out on Friday, I believe. Maybe Saturday. I haven't talked to Mark about when he's going to release the story, but I wrote my prediction right after finishing Tail of the Tape yesterday. And I got to stop doing that because I get all hopped up and I see these numbers and I'm like, oh, Ohio State's going to win by infinity. And I've been proven to be pretty accurate the last couple of weeks, but I need to stop doing that. I need to make my pick like a day after. I need to start doing my picks on Thursday when I've had a day to kind of calm down because I see these numbers and we know what statistics, 94% of statistics are made up at a spur of the moment and 74% of statistics can be altered to prove your point. I need to stop looking at all these statistics, sleep on it, and then make my pick. But I have Ohio State covering sizably. I'll just say that. Ed's playmakers stop drives. Steele is another one. Absolutely. I'm so happy for Steele. I really am. Had a chance to talk to him I think he was a commit by that point, but during one of our Southern swings, we went down, saw him in high school, Mark and myself, when the band was back together at the old place. Great kid. I knew Ohio State was recruiting him as a running back. I was like, this kid's a linebacker, but sometimes it takes a little longer to get there on your journey, as long as you reach your destination. That's a little Treasure the Torah stuff right there. If you're on, hello, he always has little pearls. I love Treasure the Torah. I one of my favorites. Not that you guys aren't as well. Buzzsaw 49-17 type of game for me. You may be on to my score. I don't think it was exactly that, but we're getting there. Chris, are these last 6 games one of the toughest runs against ranked opponents in recent history? If you believe the rankings, then yeah. Do you believe that Michigan State is whatever they are? Do you believe that ranking is indicative of who they are? Do you believe that the ranking for Michigan is indicative of who they are? But then again, I mean, we could sit there and go to 35,000 feet. Do you believe Ohio State's a top 5 team? I tend to believe that, but that's a fair question to be asked. But when you just sit there and you look at it you just plug numbers into a formula. Ohio State is playing number whatever Penn State and number whatever Michigan State and number whatever Michigan. And then, if they're successful in all these games, a number whatever Iowa potentially. Yeah, I mean, it's legit. And it's the right time to be doing it because we're getting to the point where the College Football Playoff Committee is going to be meeting in Grapevine. They're going to be seeing these games. I'm going to mark our spot right now. And in doing so, I think that Ohio State's going to be carrying a lot of momentum with it. So we got that. Hey, Treasure the Torah is here. I want to say hey to Treasure. Blessings be with you as well. I know that you're a regular, big fan. Thanks so much. I'm only about 60 comments behind where I should be right now. Let me scroll back to where I am. Oh boy. We're gonna keep moving through these quickly. Yeah, I'm grateful that Olave is a Buckeye too. Hell of a kid. Love seeing Cali kids out here. Being a Cali kid myself. 52-17. Stay tuned. That might be my pick. I don't have it in front of me. As I said, I wrote it yesterday, but stay tuned. I think that's about right. Ed Rogers, stay tuned. Seems to be a consensus. Either you guys are all on the same page or you're just having fun with me here. Kelly generally considers the Hoosiers to be a trap game over the last 5 to 8 years, but not this year. Buckeyes win by a ton. Amen. I tend to think that too. I think if Ohio State wasn't coming out of an open week and had Penn State on the back end and some of that, it could be easier to get caught in that, but Ohio State had that week to kind of clear the deck, focus, and see the forest for the trees. So, if Ohio State turns the ball over 5 times, and we got a game. But I think that if Ohio State comes out and plays the game relatively clean, it's not going to be close. 52-17. You guys, maybe Mark posted the story. You guys are all just messing with me, but generally I don't think they go up on a Thursday, so I don't know. I set off a steak like ketchup. Well, remember this. Whenever I refer to Tony's ketchup, I don't use the K spelling. I use the C spelling. It's catsup, because why not? Mark 49-17. There we go. Yes, boneless chicken wings are a glorified nugget. I love wing sauce. I will admit that I'm probably ruining my street cred here. If it's a working lunch and I'm on the computer, the last thing in the world I want to do is eat a bone-in wing. But I don't want to call it a boneless wing, because it's not a boneless wing. It's not wing meat that has been taken off a bone and then is served. It's a chicken nugget. So if I'm working and I'm editing video and I'm using my hands, I don't want to get wing sauce all over my computer. So I will order that. But not for the sake of saying that it's a boneless wing. It is not a boneless wing. It's not. So I agree. Is yours hair as luscious in person as it is in photos? I've never had my opportunity to run my hands through it, nor will I. I went down to South Lake and met Quinn before he enrolled. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Is it Troy Polamalu's? No, but whose is? But it's fantastic. Raising Cane's is the best chicken finger. I'm not going to. I could probably go 20 minutes on this one. I'm more of a Chick-fil-A guy, and here's why. Cane sauce is probably one of the best sauces. It's one of the mother sauces in the world. It has to be, because the chicken is so bland. I think that the chicken is better at Chick-fil-A, and the chicken is even better at Popeyes. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, if you like Cane's, you're crazy or whatever. I just think I find it bland. I find it bland. I find it bland like Cracker Barrel food. So that's just me. We all have our opinions. I did drop on our way to Rutgers. I don't even think that we'd left Licking County, and I said, are we there yet? So great minds think alike. Gary Lewis agreeing with Kelly O'Connor. Down year for IU. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I like A1 steak sauce? I think it's delicious. I don't get it that often. If a steak's done right, you don't need to do that. I sometimes put it like on a pork chop. If I have a pork chop that's not great, and of course, every pork chop that I cook is fantastic, but if I go somewhere to eat and the pork chop's meh, I'll put A1 on there. If for some reason, I don't know, we go to like a lower chain type of steak place and it's just not a good steak, I may put A1 on it just because I enjoy the taste of A1, but I don't even think about putting A1 on the steak at Little Zagreb. If a place does like its own sauces, I don't mind like a Parmesan peppercorn, or getting like a poivre or some sort of preparation like that. Do that by all means. I mean, when I went to Peter Luger, I did try a little bit with their sauce because it was their sauce, but no, don't order a $45 steak and then put a jar of or a bottle of A1 sauce on it. Just don't. That's just wrong. That's like making margaritas with top shelf tequila. Why do that? Don't do that. I mean, I'm not sitting there using, Mr. Boston's tequila to make margaritas, but I don't need to sit there and put like Grand Patron in there, and I don't think that highly of Grand Patron. There were so many better labels out there, but just as an example, there's no reason to do it. There's no reason to do it. Don't make a Manhattan or an old fashioned with Pappy Van Winkle. If I see you do that, I might throat punch you. If I see you do that at a bar, guard your throat, because I'm going to throat punch you. Don't waste the good stuff on something like that. And a Manhattan is my favorite drink. Well, beer's my favorite drink. But for mixed drink, a Manhattan is where I go. But Bullet, Maker's Mark, that range is fine. But don't waste if I see you putting Elmer T. Lee in there, we're gonna fight. But perhaps I've said too much. Stroud's Heisman chances this year. I don't know why people are so convinced, and by people I mean ESPN, that Bryce Young is just this huge favorite right now. They have him, Matt Corral of Ole Miss, and then a big gap, and then you might see Stroud three, you might see him 5, depending on whose list you're looking at. I think it's still pretty wide open. And I think that with the defenses that Ohio State's going against, Stroud certainly, Stroud keeps going for 400. I mean, that might be a big ask, but if he keeps going for 400, how do you not vote for him? So I think he's got, I think he could be in New York if they're going to let them go to New York and they're not going to do virtual or anything like that. But I think that there's a perception about, there's this big perception about Alabama and Bryce Young and maybe Matt Corral with Lane Kiffin. So I don't know. We'll see. You can collapse IU's line. It's there for the taking. It's there for the taking. Wade should have played safety. I think I like Sean. I like his dad. I like Randy. Felt terrible for the kid. Pretty good career, kind of ended on a sour note. Just tough. Wade was a fish out of water. Yeah. Wade would make a great bullet. Problem is, you play corner. You believe you're playing corner. If you move down to safety, it's like, oh my God, I'm losing all of this money or whatever. I mean, Jordan Fuller was a hell of a safety at Ohio State. Goes in the 6th round, immediately starts starting for the LA Rams. But he's not getting corner money. So it's one of those situations. If I skip a couple questions, it's just because I'm trying to catch up. We're an hour and 7 minutes in. I'll take this to 4:30 or 4:45. I mean, we're keeping it about the mid 100s in terms of people online. 39 likes. Be sure to hit that thumbs up if you haven't. Certainly helps us with the algorithm and all that good stuff, so more people can see us and join us and talk sports with us. Who's better than Burke in the country? Well, LSU had some pretty good guys, and now they're hurt. Derek Stingley Jr. was pretty damn good. Elias Ricks was pretty good. There's some good guys out there, but Burke is a freshman. I mean, he's gonna be a freshman All-American, and if he's not, I demand an investigation. In the last 2 games, Ohio State scored on 10 straight drives. I know that in the Maryland game, they scored on every drive in the first half except the final one, which you really can't count because Maryland punted to Ohio State and it kind of rolled back. And they got the ball and they just took a knee and then went to the locker room. But it sounds about right. They're scoring. There's no way that Penn State can trade scores with OSU. The question is Ohio State going to score 40, 30, 50? I mean, I don't know. We don't have to go that far back to 63-14 Ohio State. But then again, long in the tooth like myself, I remember 63-14 in the other direction. And that team under Joe Paterno could have probably scored 100 on Ohio State, and they called the dogs off. Ryan Watts moved to safety. That's what I've heard. We're still kind of figuring out safety position as well. But, things seem to be stabilizing. But let's see what happens when they get against a real passing offense. Purdue played 3 QBs versus Iowa. Can we play 4? When you have one that's C.J. Stroud, do you really need to bounce around? I mean, it'd be fantastic to play 4 because you sit there and you play your 1 for the first half and then you spread it out the rest of the way. But Ryan Day even said during interviews that Ewers isn't there yet. And you're not doing the kid any favors by rolling him out when he's not prepared. Bowl practice around then he should be getting on. Because remember, he technically lost a year because, all right, he reclassified. He is 18, so he's of the right age, but he lost a year of high school football because of this. And even if you don't believe that he's getting a ton of development at that time, Those are just snaps and reps and everything else that he missed out on. Then he gets to Ohio State, and he isn't even here at the beginning of fall camp, so he misses out there. And then, everybody else who's had all of these opportunities to at least know how to, go through the drills and everything else. Quinn Ewers is having to learn all of that. So he was months behind everybody else, like months. So, he's probably right now, if I had to gather, like toward the end of summer in terms of where he is as a development as a first-year player. So I really do agree with the belief that around bowl practice, whatever that may be, provided that Ohio State wins its 6th game, once they get to that point, he should be getting there. Tommy's playing better too. All of them are. I agree, Doug. I agree. For Trevion, 10 to 12 carries, 10 touches in the pass game. Trevion, the pass catcher, is pretty amazing. And, the thing is that I like Evan Pryor even better as a pass catcher. Again, Evan's not quite ready yet, but I was down in Charlotte and down there in Cornelius, and I went to just a little workout that he put together specifically for myself to go videotape, and it was a lot of pass catching work, and the kid can catch a ball. He's going to be a guy that wheel is always going to be there. That wheel is always going to be there for Evan Pryor. I'm just calling that right now. Becky liking Zaxby's. I love Zaxby's. And then I went to the worst Zaxby's in America, which was somewhere in Tallahassee, and it was horrible. And I haven't been back to a Zaxby's since. I know that I can't judge all Zaxby's based on that one in Tallahassee, but it was horrible. Sage doesn't believe that Henderson will see 10 passes. That's a lot. You're taking him away from Jackson and Chris and Garrett and everybody else and Jeremy. But 10's a lot. But I think that they need to utilize that a little bit more. They definitely have to utilize Henderson. Big facts. Amen, treasure. I agree with you. Share the pigskin. Do I have to take away... Do you and Tom have to take away Tim's coloring booking? Tony's. Yeah. No, but sometimes he does knock over his sippy cup, and since Tom has worked with him longer, I make Tom sit on that side of the table and deal with all of that. When he really acts up, I have to take him outside the restaurant and tell him that he's going to have to go to timeout. But he's a good kid. Hey, what's up, fam? How you doing, Randall? In my opinion, Williams is okay, but he's slow and even more of a power runner. Chop, not Meatball anymore. Chop really captured the imagination of everybody last year. I think he really captured the imagination of everybody at the beginning of this year. I think he's a fantastic change of pace back. I wouldn't be opposed to, if he's healthy, seeing a game where he's featured. I think he can do a lot of things, but I don't want to spread it around to the point of where Trevion Henderson is underutilized. I don't want to see Trevion Henderson overworked, but I don't want to see a situation of this being salary cap carries and that everybody's got to get 8 or whatever. You got to ride the hot hand. And if mine gets out there as a hot hand, ride him. Do it. Kid's a baller. I love that out of him, but don't do anything at detriment of, you've got a kid that is probably going to win a Heisman Trophy in the next couple of years at Ohio State in Trevion Henderson. So there you go. Put that on the bold predictions list. I don't think it's that bold, though. I really don't. Do I think the Buckeyes score over 40 points considering IU's defense? Don't know if you had an opportunity to look at tail the tape yet today. I think IU's defense is... I think that they played some guys, but I don't think that they've necessarily I don't see them being world beaters. And if they're down their 2 corners, and we talked about it earlier in the show, he may not have been there. If Tywan Mullen, and I believe the other guy's name is Reese, I don't have it in front of me. If they can't go, there's no way that they're held below 40, in my opinion. There's no way unless they turn it over 5 times. So I like Ohio State to get north of 40. I like Ohio State to hold Indiana south of 20. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're to my death row meal. Chorizo Tacos. Randall, yes, I love chorizo. And if anybody knows where to get good chorizo, around Columbus, hit me up. KevinANoon@yahoo.com. Hit me up because I've lived in California. I've lived in Texas. Had great chorizo in both cities, both states at my hands. Here, I don't want to keep getting Johnsonville chorizo. I mean, and there are a couple of more, widely spread like Mexican chorizo brands, but I need to find a butcher that just makes good chorizo, and I don't necessarily want to go to Whole Foods, and that's more of a case of I just don't want to pay for Whole Foods. It's really expensive. I know I could make my own, but I'm lazy. It would be a sandwich that takes the longest to make in terms of the death row meal. Yeah, I can understand that, but just because you buy 5 more minutes with a Monte Cristo doesn't mean that. I mean, it doesn't change the end of the story. So good thinking, but it's still a tragic ending. Randall believes that Day is using Henderson in a smart way. I agree. Getting back to Zingerman's, turkey Swiss, bacon, avocado with mustard, garlic, potato salad is a 73. Despite being from California, I don't like avocado. I just don't. I don't know. People are like, well, it doesn't really taste like much if you just, if it's just like that. I don't like it. Maybe I don't like the color of it. Maybe I don't like the consistency of it. I don't like it, which is weird because I love Mexican food. So everybody's like, well, you should love guacamole. And I don't know. I'm just cantankerous in my old age. My oldest daughter's homemade chicken and dumplings, or youngest daughter's pot roast. Both of those sound really good. I love good chicken and dumplings, pot roast. People who have followed me at my old site and now where I'm at here at Buckeye Scoop know that I do a lot of stuff on my smoker. I do a great smoked pot roast, but there's something to be said too about a really good, crock pot one. Not sure how your daughter how she goes about the pot roast, but I didn't appreciate pot roast until about 5 years ago. Now I love it. I can't get enough of it. It's really one of my favorite meals, but probably not on my top 5 in terms of my death row meal. What did you talk about with Kevin on the show today? We talked about what meal we'd have before we were put to death. I'm just winning fans over immediately with that, aren't I? 72-ounce steak, large bake, mixed veggies, apple pie, and ice cream. That sounds like one of those steaks that you can get there at that place in El Paso or whatever. You have to eat it or pay for it. I don't know if I could get through a 72-ouncer. I used to have a big appetite as 20s and 30s. Now, I think a 16-ounce steak, 16-ounce with no bone in. I can eat 16. Maybe I could eat a 20-ounce steak and all of that. I'm not a big mixed vegetables guy. Give me the large baked and give me like French onion soup. Got to have French onion soup. Got to be good French onion soup. I need that. But that sounds like a fantastic meal right there. Will Marvin Harrison Jr. see the field this game? Maybe. I don't know what the rotation is. I mean, if Ohio State gets up big, maybe, but there have been certainly situations where I think so. Here's the issue. These younger guys are seeing the field, but the game so far in hand, it's student body left, student body right, very little throwing. Kyle McCord's getting to throw the ball. Unfortunately for Jack Miller, he's getting to hand it off. You need to get those guys out there at a point where they're still throwing. So, will he see the field? Yeah, I think so. Will he get a reception? That's a question I can't answer for you. Ed wants that Thanksgiving dinner with pie. Absolutely. What is, I don't want to ask a ton of questions now because we could be going on forever on this show and I'm never going to get caught up. But, what is your favorite Thanksgiving side? I really got my homemade mashed potato, not the powdered or anything. I got my homemade mashed potato recipe to where I can make it the same way every single time. I really like it. I need to have crescent rolls. I need to have cranberry sauce. And when I do that, the purists are going to get pissed when I say this. The can, because, and I know it's just gelatinous. There's your word of the day. It's gelatinous. It's not the same as real cranberry sauce, but it just takes me home. It just takes me home to a simpler time, a simpler place when life was easier. Mark Givler giving me a call right now, but I'll call him back after this. So just know that I am blowing off my boss to talk to y'all. We have so many young. Oh, I didn't punch us through. We have so many young players that need to be handled lightly. Exciting. Yes, I think the Buckeyes are going to be amazing next year. I think that there's going to be. I mean, they're going to be good for a long time. I'm going to text Mark and tell him that I'm on a show with y'all. So give me a second. I am still live with my show. Call you back in a few. I think that a lot of people are saying this isn't the year that they're supposed to win it. Next year might be the year. But remember, they're going to lose Olave. They're going to lose Garrett Wilson. They're going to lose some guys on the offensive line. But I think they're going to be a lot deeper at a lot of positions. I mean, you're going to have the quarterback crew that you've got. You're going to have Trevion Henderson. You're still going to have a deep offensive line. I mean, your linebackers are going to be bringing in C.J. Hicks. You're going to be bringing in Gabe Powers. I think your secondary is going to be better. I think it's going to be deeper. I think you're going to have a situation of where Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, they're both older. So I think all of that. I think next year is going to be a really good year for them. But then again, Ohio State always seems to win it a year early. 2003 was supposed to be the year they went it in 2002. 2015 was supposed to be the year they went it in 2014. 2022 is supposed to be the year. We'll see. We'll see. Sue wants many pints of Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Yes. Believe it or not, I'm not a huge sweets guy. I'm not. But I do occasionally like a good ice cream. Graters is kind of my weapon of choice. I really do like Graters. Pryor needs some mop-up time in the fourth quarter. I could see him running 80, 90-yard run. Again, the issue is that we see these guys go, and they're going with the 2s and the 3s and very simplified play calls. Let's get out of here. Let's not get anybody hurt. It's hard sometimes because you see the talent. You see how talented they are, and you're like, well, they should be able to do this. But then they're trying to win the drag race with the parking brake on because they're not calling anything to really allow that to happen. So could it happen? Yeah, I remember a game at Washington, many, many moons ago, Brandon Sane taking one off the left edge into the house, and you could see that Tress was kind of pissed because the play wasn't designed to net a score, and it did. And Tress, the consummate gentleman, wasn't looking to run up scores, and I think he was a little embarrassed that it happened, but life goes on. I think Ohio State fans were happy it happened. I don't remember what the line was, so that it's not a gambling comment there. A Michigan fan disliked is what I'm told. Oh, was it you hearing a guy? We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight. Don't you dare give me a thumbs down because I won't answer your questions. I appreciate you calling me a sexy beast, but I'm very embarrassed. I'm very humble. Please don't do that. And then I got the laughter emoji. What I don't know what I would be on death row for. Hell if I know. I'm not going to give anybody ideas. It's just a conversation. I didn't think we were going to have so many questions, to be honest. So there we go. Thoughts on OSU's defense going forward? I think they're making a lot of good steps right now. I think that they're taking huge leaps. I think that we need to see the level of competition against them continue to rise. They're not doing themselves any favors right now if they just go against, on a scale of 1 to 10, 5s and 6s on offense, because then you get into potentially a college football playoff situation. And while I don't, and I know that the Georgia offense is putting up points, but I don't necessarily want to see them get up against an Oklahoma offense or an Alabama offense or whoever they might draw. I mean, I don't know if the Cincinnati offense is fine. I like Desmond Ridder. I don't put them in the same category there, but they need to be tested. They need to be tested. You need to be playing your best ball. I think they're getting better. Work in progress. Yeah, I did see the Ivan Douglas news. That's just very sad. Very sad. I know that there was a GoFundMe that was on for when he was still with us before he passed. I'm sure that money is going to be used for funeral expenses and for the family. Very, very sad news. Yeah, Sue's. Yeah, keep up about the death row meal, people. I I still like where they stand with Richard Young. I think that's going to be an Ohio State-Alabama battle. Get Richard Young on campus to visit this weekend. Great kid. I think I really like Ohio State's chances there. Oops, there we go. I agree, Randall. I think SC is a better fit for Franklin. I think he could go to Penn State if that became available. I think he also kind of wants to see a certain level of completion at Cincinnati, but that might be hard to turn down. Michigan has 15 three-star commitments. Yeah, I need to learn to start looking at both sides, both networks that do recruiting. I don't really look at the ESPN rankings. I worked for one of them for so long, I don't think about looking at the other one. So that's something I need to work on. I got a little bit of a blind spot there. I'm always rooting for the underdogs. DeJuan Special Case. Ben Davis is a hell of a program in Indiana. I mean, the big thing there is just, was getting the buy-in in terms of you are now a football player, you're not a basketball player. And I would never want to undo anything that's been done, but please let him play one game at Ohio State. Please, just let him play one game of basketball at Ohio State. I don't ask for much. Well, a lot, but I don't ask for too much. Let me see him play one basketball game, please. Oh, Mark, that is a big question. And then after this one, I'm going to jump in and answer a question on the board because I promised I would. I'll do a sweep through there. I still have a lot of questions. Oh, Lordy. I think NIL is important in recruiting. I think it's a matter of being able to show the track record. Our guys are getting this, that, and the other. But just because somebody gets something this year doesn't mean it's going to be there next year. I think a lot of companies that are sponsoring kids, they don't necessarily know what the return of investment is on that, or return on investment. So what we see in year one and what we see in year three may be different because they may find, oh, this one really worked out. We need to do something else like this. And, this one, we just really just got our name out there and threw a lot of money at it and got no ROI. So I don't know. I think that's a topic for another day because I could go on for 30 minutes there. A question I was asked on the board was, how do I get away with wearing blue when I go to Ohio State practices? Well, one, I am not employed by Ohio State. They can't make me do push-ups. They can't make me go run laps. They don't pay me. So if they say, and I've had them joke with me. I've had various people there joke with me when I wear a blue shirt. But what do they do? What are they going to do? Pull my credentials? You wore a blue shirt. You're out. Or, oh, well, you're going to have to watch the game from the bathroom this week because we're not going to give you a seat. And the other thing too is that I just don't want to wear a ton of red while I'm there. I don't want to sit there and be confused that I look like I'm part of the program. And it's not. It's just more of a level of keeping the professionality, keeping a good line between somebody who works amongst a great community of fans, but I can't appear to be that fan as well. I've got to keep a line of impartiality and everything else. Do I want to see Ohio State do well? Absolutely, because it is a hell of a lot easier doing this job when things are going well than when things are going poorly. So I always want to see that. And selfishly, would I rather go cover the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans or the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit? Good is good for me. Good is good for the company. So there you go. So I answered that. If I may have to go post that on the board too. Not sure if the question that was asked, if that poster is here, but we'll go through that. We're going to start really punching through these quicker now. 42-14. Oops, I punched that one off there. Why am I not going to St. Elmo's? Because I'm not staying in Indianapolis. I'm going to Bloomington. Little Zagreb is in Bloomington. Makes no sense to have dinner in Indianapolis and then have to screw around with hitting State Route 37. I got lucky, booked a room in Bloomington very early. I know most of the beat will not be staying the night in Bloomington because it's just hard to get there. I'm surfing through here a little bit faster just to keep going. Again, if I skip one of your questions, just know it's because we've gone 90 minutes now. I want to be done in the next 15. I'm just trying to get through this. Somebody enjoyed my term frog stomped. Yes, I do throw some of those out of nowhere. Buzzsaw likes UCLA in that Oregon game. Yes, the food at Little Zagreb is fantastic there. I've eaten there once, and I really liked it. Spicy meatballs, steaks, not an overly pretentious type of place, casual attire. I'm not going to go in there in basketball shorts and a tank top, but, it's not an overly pretentious place. I like it. We keep going through there. I'm the man. Hey, I'm just part of a team. I'm happy to be here. But thank you, Keenan. I really enjoy being part of this team. I get along with everybody, and I get along so well with y'all. This is just great. Okay, one of my groupies. If you are at Kilroy's, if you're in Bloomington tomorrow night, I probably won't get there till after 10. Tony and Tom will work me until then, but my goal is to get to Kilroy's by about 10:30. Don't know what I'm wearing, but you know what I look like. Come up, let's have a beer. There you go. I appreciate it. Go Bucks. Content is fantastic. I enjoy it. Be sure to read Tail the Tape. One of my favorite pieces to give to everybody. I hate it when I'm writing it. Let me promise you that thing is a ton of words. But there you go. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I promise I'm not just picking out all the positive comments. Yes, I am. But there aren't that many negative ones. So there you go. We're going through here. Sue believes that Ohio State's a top 3 team. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I mean, we'll see. We'll see where things shake out. We don't know. Brad doesn't think quite top 3 yet. Top 5. Splitting hairs at this point, but I totally respect that opinion. I totally respect that. We're still going through here. We're getting closer to the bottom. Here we go. Randall loves cane sweet tea. My wife is from the South, as I said, Louisiana. She loves sweet tea. I'm from California. I didn't drink tea growing up. My mom was born in Canton, but she grew up in North Carolina. She's a tea drinker. I just never really got into it, so I don't really have an opinion. But I'll throw this one out there. Everybody seems to like Bojangles tea as well. So I don't know. Brad likes 4417. Randall, we're talking about the steak sauce. Yeah, I think a good homemade, house-made steak sauce can be really fantastic and additive. But if you've got a great piece of meat, why mask it? And that's why even some places I'm really hesitant to do like the blue cheese crust or a poivre or something like that. I mean, you just want to taste the steak the right way. So get a 20-ounce steak so you can eat half of it as is and maybe half of it the other way. I don't know. Tim likes Popeyes. We're getting a Popeyes here in Pickerington. I'm super excited about that. A1 on burgers, I like that. I've done that like at Red Robin. Hoosiers about to get beat 49-10. Absolutely. Randall, I see your question on Coach O. He might go back to the Alabama rehabilitation program. I don't know. I think he's going to probably sit for a little bit of time. He needs to kind of work on some of his internal things. What's the restaurant agenda on Saturday? Well, we talked about Friday going to Little Zagreb. Maybe Saturday, if we can get out of the hotel in time and it's not insane to get in there, maybe I go to this Buffalo's that was mentioned earlier in the deal. I remember. Hopefully I don't forget by the time I get off the show. Coach O to USC, dear Lord, no. I mean, I don't care anymore, but no. Franklin to SC and Orgeron to Penn State. It would be interesting for the press conferences. Let me tell you that. A lot of people click on that. Underestimating Indiana's defense. Let me pull up some numbers really quick. I keep saying we're decelerating on the show, and then I find a question that I really like, and then I have to get involved in it. Our numbers are coming down a little. We're at about 120 right now. I'm opening up Excel, Indiana breakdown. Okay, they have not faced a top 30 rushing team this year. We're at the point now where everybody's played between 5 and 7 games, so the numbers aren't necessarily swayed because if Indiana shuts you down and you played 3 games, your numbers are going to suffer because you've only played 3 games. But playing between 5 and 7, I don't think one bad outing is going to do that. So they did play a top 30 in terms of FCS, with Idaho's 27th. Ohio State's 22nd. And I understand that between 30th, which was Cincinnati at 202, and Ohio State at 211, we're only talking 9 yards difference. But Iowa, Penn State, Michigan State, and I know Michigan State has Kenneth Walker, but I just don't think that they have the same commitment to the run that Ohio State could have. You look at the passing offenses, obviously Western Kentucky's first, but Ohio State's 8th. So I don't know. I don't think, well, I know this. Indiana has not faced a balanced team like Ohio State, has not faced a team that can run and throw. Western Kentucky is 1 in running, or 1 in passing, 118 in rushing. Iowa 105 and 102, so that's just terrible right there. Cincinnati 58th passing offense, 30th rushing offense. I guess that's sort of balanced. Michigan State 50th passing offense, 32nd rushing offense. That's sort of balanced. Ohio State 8th in the pass, 22nd in the rush. I just think it's a situation. I think it's just they haven't faced an offense like this, so it's fair to believe, to have that, and I agree to a certain extent. I think it's very easy for us to sell on Michael McFadden and some of the guys they have up front, but I don't know. I just think that they roll them. Oh, falling behind. Oh, let me jump in here. Let me mark where I'm at, because we have another super chat from. Thank you, Treasure the Torah. Respect. You're from Fayetteville, North Carolina. 82nd Airborne. Oh, God bless the military. God bless the military. You're now in Connecticut near Foxwoods. My mom lives outside of Statesville, North Carolina. My sister lives in Mooresville. Most of my mom's side of the family lives out near Wilmington. I've spent a lot of time in North Carolina. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So thank you once again, Treasure. Let me find where I was at. Treasure loves Oktoberfest beer. I do too. We're getting a beer. When you get from Connecticut to here, we're going somewhere. Granted, we might not have Oktoberfest beer at that point. I don't know what your travel plans are, but we're getting a beer. I promise. On me. And I'm cheap, so that means a lot right there. Champagne appetite, beer budget. Damn right. Doug talking about Henry Avery. Dropped almost 100 pounds. God bless him. I need to drop about, I don't want to say 100 pounds. I think 170 would be a little too skinny for me, but going back to the Treasurer's comment about the beers, I just like beer too much, so I don't know. My cousin brought me to the Craft Steak Loft. I got the Porterhouse Well Done. No. I don't want to hear about any of my favorites liking well done steak. I already look at Tony through a skewed lens. Stroud drops dimes. I'm speeding up here. Is Gruden on a plane to LSU? No. Steve believes 56-17. Not out of the realm of possibility. Sage, Gruden's done. Let me see what else is going on. Gary believes a pick 6 for Burke. I posted over on the Ask the Insiders board and my bold predictions. I'm not part of Tom and Tony's piece, which is fine because it allows me to joke with them because I'm not competitive. I think that Ohio State has 3 picks and they take 1 back to the house. Why not, Burke? Why not? Any thought on Ryan's Day wanting the hash marks moved? That's a 20-minute discussion right there. I don't have a strong opinion. I really don't. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'm not going to lose any sleep if they don't. If Ryan Day wants it, and after I sat there and said what's good for Ohio State is good for Kevin Noon, and what's good for Ohio State is good for Buckeye Scoop, let's bring it on. Speeding up. Georgia, Cincinnati, Ohio State, and who in the playoffs? Alabama for now. I mean, I just think the SEC is going to get 2. I really do. Now, if Alabama loses to Georgia in the SEC championship game, I don't see a 2-loss Alabama team getting in there. Oklahoma? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Big Ten was looking like it could potentially get 2, and then Iowa, kind of had its issues against Purdue. Now what happens if Ohio State and Iowa play in the Big Ten championship game? And then I guess if Iowa beats Ohio State, then Ohio State has 2 losses, so you don't get 2 there. If Ohio State beats Iowa, Iowa has 2 losses, so I don't see a scenario to where the Big Ten getting 2 is viable. Henderson only has 70 carries. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that he only has 70 carries. I knew it was 60, 70, something like that. It's nuts. He's got a lot of tread on that tire. Ohio State versus Cincinnati in the Sugar Bowl. Go, dear Lord, help us. Dear Lord, help us. Yes, A1 on pork chops, but on the hamburger, as I said, yeah, I've done that at Red Robin, but on the pork chops, I love pork chops. My wife doesn't, I mean, she loves bacon and she loves some of the, but she doesn't like it when I make pork chops. So when she travels for work, generally there are pork chops being cooked at the Noon household. Does anyone believe UC could beat any of those teams? I mean, give them several weeks to prepare. I like them against Oklahoma. I I don't like. I think it's a horrible matchup against Georgia. I think it's kind of a tough matchup against Bama. I think it's a pretty bad matchup against Ohio State, but I like it against Oklahoma. Two Ohio teams would make SEC heads explode. Yeah, we would be immediately at 12 in the playoff. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We're at 12. Um, we'll see what the alliance says about it. The Super Friends alliance of three conferences that have nothing signed to paper, but we're going to work together, and then we've heard nothing about it since. Lorenzo is all for exploding heads. Treasure, two good backs. Henderson brings so much more dynamics, honestly, though. The kid is special. The kid is special. I mean, he really is. Steve has been all in on chorizo for years. There was something that they used to make at Barcelona here in town. It was pork that was stuffed with chorizo and then in a bacon lattice and then cooked off. One of the best things I've ever eaten. And the chorizo, of course, was homemade. It wasn't GFS or anything like that. It was homemade. Oh, I'm getting hungry thinking about it right now, and I'm probably just having pizza for dinner. Yes, avocado, just weird texture. I'm just not down with it. Randall agrees. Yeah, I know. Yeah, the 72-ounce steak is a big steak. You sit there and you're like, oh, I can do that. That's meaty. That's a lot. I don't watch as much Man versus Food since Adam Richman left and they got the other guy, Casey. I think Casey's a little annoying. But, yeah, watching him take down some of those meals were pretty amazing. Spartan here just went to Bloomington's. And I'm not staying in Indy, but I do love St. Elmo steaks. But sometimes I like going to Prime 47 because sometimes St. Elmo gets a little caught up in its own tradition and brings a C-plus game to the table. And if you're paying those types of prices, you better be bringing that A game. They don't season it. You sit there and you get like a thick steak and it's under. I mean, and I'm a good mid-rare. I like going up to medium. As I get a little older, I like going up to medium. I don't know why. I guess I like the steak to be a little warmer throughout. But that cowboy cut sounds fantastic. Yeah, it wasn't El Paso, Gary. It's Amarillo. You're right. I have a buddy from El Paso. That's kind of why I was thinking about that. Sue likes the avocados on everything. Oh, now we're to the Thanksgiving side, stuffing. Good stuffing. My mom used to make an oyster stuffing. Blech, I don't like oysters, but sadly, I prefer stovetop over a lot of homemade stuffings. I know, I'm weird. Randall likes the dressing. Says that's for the win. Sage Ohio loves deviled eggs. I love deviled eggs. I don't make them ever because I hate peeling hard-boiled eggs, and I'm not buying the pre-done hard-boiled eggs from Costco because they look nasty. Green bean casserole. That's my wife's favorite. I make it for her. I don't really like it. I hate mushrooms. So cream of mushroom soup is a non-starter for me. Large carne asada burrito for Thanksgiving. I'm down with that. Or are we talking about something? Oh, that might be your death row meal or Thanksgiving. Either way. Yes, Tony. Yes, I'm going to give you a super chat if I could do that. That's fantastic. Homemade potato salad. Yes, sign me up. Food is good for the soul. I must have a big soul because I do like to eat at times, but I haven't had anything to eat today. I've had a Mountain Dew. Going to pizza with the wife for a couple beers and trivia tonight, so that's the plan. Bacon wrapped water chestnuts. I've done that before. They're actually pretty good. I didn't think I would like it, and I did. Bacon makes everything better. Water chestnut sounds weird, but it works. Rusted Brussels sprouts, Gruyere cheese, bacon, shallots, or as Gordon Ramsay says, shallots, and fresh thyme. But Brussels sprouts are little mini cabbages. I don't like cabbage. I would give it a shot. That sounds pretty good. I would give it a shot out of respect. I don't think I would like it, but I would give it a shot. Uh, Let me see. Randall, I love my meat and potatoes. That's my weakness, not the sweets. Yeah, my wife gets mad at me because when I eat candy, I eat like Mike and Ike's and Smarties and Spree and Sweet Tarts. She's like, you like crap candy. I bought a Snickers on my way to OSU yesterday. It's the first time I bought a chocolate bar in probably 3 years. I don't think about it. It's just not me. I'm gonna get the fruity candy. Sage agrees about Sue's side. Steve might be able to choke down the Brussels sprouts for all the stuffing, yes, or all the stuff. I'm sorry, all the stuff that Sue puts on them. Yeah, I agree. Sue's going to set that extra plate. Randall remembering my story from Washington. Yeah, it was one of those crazy things, but it kind of happens. Oh God, I just feel. I mean, the Dodgers are doing a bullpen game. I'm going to trivia tonight. Will the game be on? Yes. Am I really going to be paying attention to the game? No. I know the Dodgers were down 3-1 last year and came back and won. Justin Turner's done for the year. Hammy. They have no Max Muncy. Their pitching rotation is all out of whack. I think they just grossly mismanaged some things. I don't feel it. I think the Braves win tonight. I'm going to like hearing a guy 69's deal just in case he was the one who gave me the thumbs down. I don't think he was. I think he's just having fun with us. Dry, spicy stuffing, that's pretty good. Sue picking the Braves. So sad. Who has a brighter future between Sparty and Michigan? Your Thanksgiving side, pies. Yeah, I do like pies. I'm not a big pumpkin fan. My wife loves pumpkin pie, pumpkin beer, all that stuff. Pumpkin coffee. I like a good cherry pie. I like a good chess pie. But for Thanksgiving, pecan pie. Is it pecan or pecan? I've heard it both ways. It pisses my wife off when I call it pecan. She's like, it's pecan. So I think I call it pecan just because I can. But back to the other question. I think just the Michigan brand is stronger. I just think that even with the situation of Harbaugh not realizing all the potential or whatnot. I just think if we're talking about future, Michigan has some built-in advantages that Sparty doesn't. And then if LSU goes and takes Mel Tucker from them, then where the hell are they going to be? Let me keep going. We're getting toward the end, folks. Who will get the cottage shame this weekend? I believe it belongs to Tony, but I'm not sure. Ask that question on the pregame. I'm not sure. Steve agrees that it's Tony. Chubba Wubba Hub 24 loves me. Love you too. Never Steak Sauce. Your Belinda. Isn't that where Nixon is buried? I was born in Anaheim. I grew up in Irvine, so I know the area very well. I think my mom lived in Yorba Linda before she met my dad. Becky loves Graders. I like Jenny's too. I don't like paying Jenny's price. But Graders is fantastic. Let me see. Chorizo and bacon. You're right, Steve. It's fantastic. What's it like to get paid to go to Buckeyes games and really being part of it all? Look, I've got a fantastic job. Are there days that it's tough? Sure. There are challenging days for every job. But I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have the opportunities that I've had. I've done a lot of things in my career. I'm blessed to have worked with some fantastic people at every stop. I'm blessed to have so many fans around in terms of who are here in the chat. So I can't complain. Cowtown Customs, my baked mac and cheese is the bomb. Kevin A. Noon at yahoo.com if you want to share any recipes or post it in the comments. I love mac and cheese. I made one with a roux that I just didn't like. I like more of a cheese sauce. How do you do yours? Show may be over by the time you can answer it, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Cracklins and trail bologna. I do love cracklins. I love cracklins. So yeah. Steve grew up in Buena Park. I know the area very well. I know Ball Road in Anaheim. I was actually born in a hospital right on the line between Anaheim and Garden Grove. I don't remember the name of it. I was quite young at the time. And we are caught up. We have caught up. Yeah, just call me Kevin. Call me Big Noon. Call me Big Me. But thank you for enjoying the podcast. But we're caught up. We're at 1 hour and 50 minutes. I've put off my boss long enough. I need to give Mark a call back. I want to thank everybody for being part of the show. Once again, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit the bell. That way you don't miss a single channel, not only my show, but all the great programming that we put on. If you're listening to us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, once I turn this and put it up on Spreaker, be sure to give us a check on Buckeye Grow. Be sure to give us a check on YouTube. Thank you so much for everybody for being part of this. One more in here. Sage likes cauliflower and cheese. I am not a cauliflower fan. I'm not a big vegetables fan. I like meat and potatoes, and salad. So that's kind of where I'm at. I need to do a better job with that. I got to take my health a little more seriously. Turn 50 here in a couple of weeks. I got to do a better job. My son, mac and cheese at Panera. It looks good. Panera's just so pricey. It's just so pricey for what it is. Steve, thank you so much. You take care as well. Sue, you take care as well. Before I get my next round of questions in, again, I'm your host, Kevin Noon. It's the Big Me Kickoff. We'll talk to you again next week.